Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. Happy Leap Day, February 29th. Not every day that we get, or every year that we get to do this. It's a rarity. So welcome in. If you are one of those people that has a leap day, leap year birthday, happy birthday. You only get to hear this every 4 years. So congrats to you. But we've got plenty of NBA basketball to talk about today. Keith, let's dive in. We both have had kind of long days today, so we're going to jump through a lot of our topics here.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say real quick, my cousin Lori is a leap baby. So she's like 10 this year, I guess, or something like that. However that math works out. But she's a leap baby.
I always wonder, do people who are born on February 29th, do they feel like unfortunate that they got that date, or is it more like it's something special? Very few people get that. I mean, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I actually, besides my cousin, I went to school and grew up with two kids that were born on leap day in the same year, and they their families, what they did was they had like a normal birthday every year on the 28th of
Mm-hmm.
February, but then on the 29th every 4 years they'd do like a big blowout, like they could do like the big birthday party and
Right.
go somewhere, like when we were kids, I was like the roller skating or something big like that for a birthday party instead of just having a bunch of kids running around the house. So
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good way to
I
do it.
guess yeah, that's probably the approach I would take.
I like that. All right, let's get into it. The Knicks, their protest was officially denied. I mean, they were right. That call was definitely a blown call, but in their loss to the Rockets, but their protest officially denied because you and I talked about this. It wasn't like a misapplication of the rules. It wasn't like somebody was removed from a game when they had 5 fouls instead of 6 or something like that. It was a missed call, and that does happen sometimes. That's a different category. So I'm not surprised that their protest was denied. I'm also not surprised that they tried it, because why not try protesting it?
Yeah, there's not going to harm anything in going for it, other than you might end up having to play 3 games in a row or something like
Sure.
that. If they said, all right, fine, we're going to make it up, or not make it up, a replay from the moment of the infraction. So yeah, the NBA pretty much said in their release, where they said we're denying the protest, was the call was, it was a judgment call that was wrong, and we're not gonna do anything on judgment calls that are wrong. Like, that happens, it's part of the sport, and it is what it is. So nothing really unexpected here. And I assume at the end of the day it may not really mean anything. We'll see if the Knicks miss out on a home court advantage, or miss out on a playoff spot by a game or something like that, then it'll matter. But otherwise, just move on.
Yeah. If that happens, Knicks fans are not going to be thrilled, and they'll be pointing to this game. But it's something that does happen. It happens, and not just in the NBA, in professional sports.
Yeah.
Calls get missed. It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
The Hawks have waived Patty Mills. I mean, this is a name that a lot of people know. Veteran player. Is he? Do we think he's done in the NBA? I know they went and signed somebody with that spot. Is this it for Patty Mills?
I wouldn't be surprised if he catches on with someone for the end of the year. There's an extraordinary amount of open roster spots around the league right now. I believe there are something like 25-ish, and that's including guys that are on 10-day contracts right now. So I know we're north of 20, which that's a ton. Like, at this point in the year, that is a lot of open roster spots, and most of those will get filled before the end of the year. Most teams, whether they're teams looking for, all right, we just need another body as break glass in case of emergency for the playoffs, or it's teams that are like the Pokashevsky signing in Charlotte, where, hey, maybe something comes of this. Let's grab this guy and take a look. It's now come out. Mike Scotto of Hoops Hype is where I saw it. It's a 2-year deal for Poku in Charlotte, where he got a second non-guaranteed year. So kind of a fall from grace for a guy who a lot of people were super excited about early on in his career, but maybe Charlotte will get something out of this and they'll figure it out and get it together. But on the Patty Mills front, yeah, I'm sure some team that is, we could use as one more veteran guard at the end of our bench, they'll probably grab him. He's been okay when he's played this year. He hasn't played very much. I think he's only played 19 games and like 200 minutes or something like that for the Hawks. And then what they did to fill the open roster spot, they converted two-way player Trent Forrest. Just an interesting note on Trent Forrest. He actually was the first guy I can remember that fully maxed out his games on his two-way contract. He had hit the 50-game mark. Actually, I think it was just ahead of the All-Star break. He hit the 50 game limit. The Hawks kept him, and it was a sign of like, what are we doing here? And if you look at their box scores, he was inactive, and then they always list a reason for inactive, and it was inactive, ineligible to play in each NBA game for the last like week or so here since we've been back from the All-Star break. So now they converted him over. He'll be on the active roster for the rest of the way. I know it sounds weird to say this because they just waived a guard, but another guard to have in the rotation potential while Trae Young is out.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? Trae Young, he's going to be out for, I believe it's now at least 3 weeks from now, and it's DeJounte Murray time there, but they do need other guards in their rotation. So,
did you see Trae Young's post about his surgery?
No,
it was like one of those typical everything went great surgery, but it's like before and after pictures. And he said, "This is my first surgery and hopefully my last." Like, kind of crazy that he's made it this deep and never had to have any kind of surgery in his life. So good for him, right? That's really good news.
Definitely.
And hopefully it is his last.
Surgery's not fun.
Right? He's okay. Not for anybody ever.
No, not ideal. And I always tell you, like I broke my hand years and years ago. Broke a bone in my hand and had to have surgery to get it all put back together. It wasn't so much the pain from the surgery; it was the rehab, getting the muscles and everything back working again. That's the part that is the real killer. That was not fun.
And if it's one of those where you have to break through scar tissue and stuff to get going, those are never fun.
Still remember that. Not fun. Not fun. Okay. The Hornets hire Jeff Peterson. So they've hired a new president of basketball operations that he will replace Mitch Kupchak and becomes whatever the role, whatever you want to call the role, GM, president of basketball operations, whatever across the NBA. In this role, he becomes the youngest in the NBA at just 35 years old. Thoughts on this hire coming out of the Brooklyn Nets? He's a guy who's trained under Sean Marks for a number of years now.
Yeah, I think it is interesting they went with a first-time GM, and I think that's a sign of, hey, we're trying to really reset the organization. We've got new owners, new GM, presumably, unfortunately for Steve Clifford, who I think has done the best he could with a weird situation where, it wasn't even their first choice for the job, and then just kind of came in. I think he's done the best he could do in that spot. This is a good, interesting hire for the Hornets there. Grow everything together and kind of put it all together in this way. So I think it'll be really fun to watch how this develops. I'm curious to see. I think it was Ian Begley. Woj had the initial report. Then Ian Begley came in after that and said, keep an eye on maybe Wes Wilcox, who's with the Kings right now. He's another guy who's been around the NBA for quite some years. Maybe he lands with the Hornets to help out Jeff Peterson. I'm guessing Ian's not just randomly throwing that out there for no reason. So we'll see what that looks like. But it's going to be interesting to see how he puts together the rest of that front office staff. Reports were the Hornets interviewed 12 different people for the job. So pretty wide ranging search. And the good news is we talked about this just the other day. Now it's done. Right now you have your guy. Now he's going to set your new front office on whatever course you're going, and draft strategy and offseason strategy and all that can come together in what's going to be a pretty crucial offseason for the Hornets, setting a direction for the franchise moving forward.
Yeah, and that means both in terms of what you're going to do in free agency, what you're going to do in sort of spending your free agent dollars, but also the draft. I mean, now you can really figure out, okay, who are we scouting? Who are we zeroing in on? What's our strategy going to be? What are the trade opportunities? All that sort of stuff. So all of this is important. And you and I, again, we talked about this, I think it was yesterday, about why it's better to get this done sooner rather than later. Now you've got time to start to look ahead to what's going to be a very busy and very important summer for this Hornets team.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Want to do a little breaking news here? It's not NBA, but
I saw it, and it is good. Here we go. Let's do it.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
I don't know how horrifying it is, but Caitlyn Clark is gonna go pro from the University of Iowa, which is really cool. She's likely to be the first overall pick in the WNBA draft. The Indiana Fever hold the first pick in the draft, so very very likely she'll be joining them for next season, barring some kind of trade or something really unexpected. So she's gonna go pro. We talked about this with Zach Edey of Purdue. All these college athletes all got an extra year of eligibility because of the COVID impacted season. So if they were there during one of the, I think they designated the 2019-20 and the 2020-21 season, those 2 years, as the kind of two impacted years. And if you were already on campus, so she could have stayed around, which would have been crazy because she could have stayed and made that record essentially unbreakable.
Yeah,
it would have
right.
been 5 years of ridiculous production out of her. But yeah, she's gonna go pro. So good for her. Fun, and that opens the door for potential. Let's see what it looks like in next year's All-Star weekend, because both Stephen Curry and Sabrina Ionescu talked about maybe we involve Caitlyn Clark or something like that next year.
That'd be fun.
She's a knockdown shooter as well, so it's going to be fun. WNBA has a ton of talent. This is, for my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, and somebody can tell me if I am. This feels like the most talent the WNBA's ever had. At one moment, like it's just filled with talent, and in the league small, it's like I want to say 12 teams right now. Maybe there's a couple more than that because I know they've expanded. They've got future expansions coming, but because it's small, the talent's all condensed. You look at some of these rosters, and it's like, holy cow! Like they've got 7-8 players that I know and I know are good players. So it'll be fun. I don't know how much I'll watch this year because we've got Olympics all the way through, summer leagues running later. But I tend to tune into a decent chunk of the WNBA in the summertime because it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I do as well, and it's not something that I watch on a regular basis. Obviously, I'll tune in when it's particularly the Las Vegas Aces. They're a lot of fun to watch, but they've got it's really. Like, you can look at it, you get a lot of people who are naysayers and say, oh, it's below the rim basketball and all this kind of stuff, right? And if you're looking at it from a negative perspective, if you're coming in, you're expecting 360 dunks and stuff like that, well, you're not going to see that stuff.
Sure.
But from watching it just a pure basketball perspective, they run a lot of really good stuff and some really innovative sets and things like that, where as I'm watching, I'm going, whoa, okay, they pulled that off. Wow. There's some impressive stuff that they do. So midsummer, I'll definitely flip on a game every now and then and watch. And I just went ahead and made the banner, Caitlyn Clark to the Indiana Fever. They're not going to trade that pick any more than the Spurs were trading the number one pick when Wemby was there, or the Cavs were trading the pick when LeBron was there back in the day or anything. It's not happening. She's going to the Fever.
Well, and it's kind of cool, right? Midwest college player stays in the Midwest with the Midwest team, so that'll be big for them. And I'll say to anybody who says about the WNBA, it's all below the rim. Yeah, so is 99% of high school basketball played around the country, and a lot of people still watch that too. So I don't know what any of the complaining is about there. So yeah, it's fun. So hey, let's stick with one thing in Indiana. Have you seen the kid from Indiana State, Robbie Avila?
I think so. I was just watching some highlights.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about what I think you're talking about here,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem, yes, Cream, yes.
Because he's like a white kid, so which is really funny. Just a really funny nickname. But he can play, man. He's got a little bit of Nikola Jokic in his game. So yeah, and as a former goggles and rec specs wearer, shout out to my man with the goggles. I love it. I'm all about it. So yeah, we'll see. They could be just getting serious for a moment. They could be a dangerous team. March Madness if they make the tournament. There's somebody a lot of people are kind of talking about as being a potential team to make a run.
That'd be fun to watch. All right, let's pause for a moment, give a quick shot. We've got a pretty big story, I think. Team USA starting to come into focus. You were just talking about the Olympics this summer, how excited we are for that. I feel extremely fortunate because I accidentally had no idea that this was the case. Booked my vacation post summer league to end the day before the Olympics begins.
Nice.
So I was initially I had a moment of panic and I went, oh no. And then the sigh of relief when I realized, yes, I accidentally booked appropriately. So the Olympics coming up, and now we're starting to see the actual Team USA roster, even though it's not official, but we're starting to get a pretty good sense of who's going to be involved.
And let's say this too, in Paris, so not too crazy of a time difference this year, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not gonna have to be up at 4 in the morning like we were for some of the World Cup games and those kind of things. Will probably be more like 7 o'clock in the morning or so. And I'm gonna guess Team USA will get some fairly favorable time slots where we'll be able to see them in a decent hour here.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the Olympics just in general. Like there's no other time of year where I'm watching like kayaking and rowing and
Right.
stuff like that. But on the Olympics, yeah, man, I'm all in. And in two days into coverage, like I'm an expert on all these sports and yelling at the TV and saying what they should be doing. So it's yeah, and I really don't know anything I'm talking about. I hardly know what I'm talking about with basketball. Never mind things like shot put and that. So.
I do the same thing. I'm watching it and I get all into it and I'm thinking, oh, isn't that a foul? That's against the rules. Or I have no idea what the rules are. But but it's fun nonetheless.
That was a wall on the balance beam. Now that's going to be a half a point deduction.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I just like yell. And I've said it before on the show. I'll say it again. I am 100% an ugly American when it comes to anything Team USA is in. I am rooting for us to win, and not only to win, but to dominate. And with that in mind, Team USA, if all the guys, so there was a pretty big piece by Shams Charania and Joe Varden over at The Athletic, and the two kind of main focuses that came out of it were Drew Holiday and Devin Booker seem to be two guys that are kind of the early commits to being on Team USA. But then they went through a whole bunch of other names. And when I went through and added them all up, that's if all these guys play, that's 11 of 12 spots already like targeted and listed. And there it is.
Here's the list here.
That's from the Real GM post. So there's your list. I mean, sign me up. Let's go. Like that team's everything you could need.
I was looking down this list and I'm just, as I start looking at it, I just went, oh my God, this is like, this is everybody. I mean, here's the list for podcast listeners: Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, LeBron James, Jason Tatum. Like, and there's one more coming, and it's still possible. Some of these guys could drop out. There could be injuries. There could be whatever. But the initial glance at that, that's like this is the best of the best that are signing up for this. These are your best guys. Is there like, who are you hoping for that 12th spot? Who should get that?
Yeah, part of me would like it to be Kawhi Leonard because I think add one more like lockdown defender and just tell Kawhi, hey, we only need you to just go out there and play defense for 10 minutes every game. That's all we need. 5 minutes each half. Just go shut down whoever it is on the other side. With that, it's still a little light on size. It's kind of Bam, AD, and Embiid. So maybe one more big could get in the mix. But the problem is, a lot of the bigs, they're not American born, so they're not eligible to play here.
Well, and it depends too. Are you looking? Is Kevin Durant a 4? Is LeBron a 4? Like that helps. And I think the answer is yes on those.
Yeah. And they're not going to put him on the team, but that's like where like Draymond could have been somebody, but at this point he's not going to play in the Olympics. So yeah, we'll see. And I also have kind of no problem if they say, hey, let's leave that last spot and let's see kind of what the playoffs tell us, right? Maybe somebody really emerges through these playoffs. That is somebody we should go get and grab and that. So you guys can let us know in the comments who you think should get that last spot. Just keep in mind, don't say things like Jokic or SGA or any of those guys.
They have to be American.
Not eligible. They have to be eligible to play for the United States. So, that could be a lot of fun to see where it goes. I saw some people saying in comments, I think it might even been on the Athletic article, like they should just preemptively give the spot to Cooper Flagg. And I was like, that's going a little far. He's coming out of high school. Like we don't really need to do that. I saw some people say just throw Zion on there just for the highlight package of it all. Like that could be something. So we'll see. But yeah, it's I mean, let's go. This is, I wish it was more than every 4 years that the guys were like, let's load up and go. And for some of these guys, this is very clearly the last one. So I
Yes,
think
for a lot of these guys.
LeBron, KD, Curry, maybe even AD
Yep.
at this point, like that may be it for them. Probably Drew Holiday, right? He's getting up there in age too. So I think for some of these guys, it's for Curry, he's never done it. So this is our maybe first and only chance to see him do it. So let's hope these 11 guys all get through the rest of the way healthy and are able to go play in the Summer's Olympics, because that'll be a lot of fun.
There's something too, maybe a Zion, like Jalen Brunson was pretty good for Team USA this last year, but I don't know that they need another guard. If you've got you got Drew Holiday, you've got Halliburton, you've got Steph Curry. I guess you could argue Brunson. Yeah, you've got Booker can handle the ball as well. Of course, LeBron can handle the ball, but I agree with you. I think another wing would be. I mean, I'm of the mindset in today's game you can never have too many wings, especially switchable wings. So I think Kawhi does make some sense in that regard. Maybe even Paul George is another guy that you could look to. But another wing, I think, could be a good thing to add on this team. And I think while Zion can be breathtaking, can be incredibly impressive, I think just based on the makeup of this team, if I was trying to make sure how do we make this as foolproof as possible, I'd be adding another wing player to the squad too.
Same. Yeah, I'd even consider if we're gonna do a specialist, you could even go to a guy like Herb Jones if you wanted to and say, give me a defender. Like I'd be fine with that.
Sure. Yeah. Just give me a defense guy. Just give me a guy to go try to cool off somebody that goes on a heater from another team. Yeah, for sure.
And it's almost got to be somebody too who is, hey, you have this specific skill set and you're probably not going to play a lot. Because I mean, just look at that. List is loaded, right? And that always is the interesting thing when you have a true dream team, right? It's a true team of stars. Who are the guys who really emerge as like, these are the guys that we're going to play? We talked about it before with Kobe that one year. Kobe took a back seat. The entire Olympics was like, I'm just going to facilitate. I'm just going to kind of do my thing. I'm kind of the old head here. And then in that championship game against Spain, he was like, all right, I got you. Let's go. Like, get on my back. And I got you. So it's always fun to watch how those types of roles develop. Even going back to the original Dream Team, people forget Michael Jordan didn't lead the team in scoring that year. Charles Barkley did.
Yeah, Barkley was the guy.
And Michael Jordan was very clear, I'm not the team leader either. Team leaders are Larry and Magic. Like, this is their team. I'm just here to be the guy. But then when they needed it, it was like, all right, MJ, do your thing. Go be MJ. Now, they needed it like 5 minutes into the first half of each game, because then every game was completely over. And one of my most favorite things from that Dream Team run, other than there was a super cool play, I think it was because people forget they had to qualify. Remember, they had to go through the Tournament of Americas to even qualify, and they had to go win it. And it was like, well, they're going to win it. And there was a play where it's like, I think Patrick Ewing got the rebound. He outlitted it to Jordan, who threw it to Barkley, who threw it to Magic, who threw it behind the back pass to Bird for a three. And it was like, my I think it was 14. My 14-year-old brain was broken. Like, I was like, what just happened?
Like the ball just touched more basketball talent than we've ever seen in all human history in one possession.
Absolutely incredible. And I just remember going absolutely, nuts, because that tournament was played in Portland. So those games, I remember they were on TNT super late at night on the East Coast. And I remember screaming and yelling in the living room, because of course it's summer. So I'm already on summer vacation. My parents were like, all right, calm down. Like, we have to work. Like, why are you yelling at the TV so loud? But it's just something with those teams where it is, it just becomes like you truly are the best of the best if you step forward and shine, in this moment. And it's even more so now because these games are not Team USA, even this team's not going to just show up and just hammer teams by 40. Then maybe that's how it ends up playing out, but they're going to have to play the rest of the world's gotten too good. So it should be a lot of fun to watch all this come together.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me who emerges. Like last year, during the World Cup, you had Anthony Edwards became the guy. It's always interesting when you have that many great players together. Who do they defer to, right? And that kind of tells you, among the greats, when they're looking around, who are they like? We're kind of in trouble. here, you take it, right? And it wound up being Anthony Edwards. And that was, I think, a sign for me that he was going to have a big step forward this year for the Wolves. But it'll be really interesting to see who steps forward with this Team USA, because like Durant, LeBron, even AD, these guys are getting older. So who kind of takes control of this team? Is Joel Embiid healthy? What does that look like? Because he's already got some buzz to kind of be like the guy on this team, but we'll see. And I think that's going to be really fascinating. But I'm excited for this, Keith, and I'm excited that we're going to have some fun basketball during a time of the year when we normally don't, and it'll help us get through that summer drought.
Yeah, that end of July, post summer league, big month of August is pretty dry for basketball content. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it. If you look at that list and can't get excited, forget it, man. Don't you go watch something else, because that's just, I'm fired up already, and it's still 7 months, or I guess 5 months away from even seeing it on the floor.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Going to be a lot of fun. All right, everybody, make sure that you do subscribe to the NBA Front Office Show here on YouTube. Follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Go check out the Basketball Bulletin, which is our Substack. I'll put the link to that in the description down below. Also, we've got new written content coming out there every single week. You guys can kind of get in our basketball minds there. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Until next time, we'll see you, and stay safe.